Coretta Scott King began the King Center in Atlanta, Georgia, to continue her husband's work. For the rest of her life, she worked for peace and civil rights. She died on the 31st of January, 2006. 4 U.S. presidents went to her funeral: George W. Bush, his father, George H.W. Bush, Jimmy Carter, and Bill Clinton. Now, Dexter Scott King, son of Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, manages the King Center. Martin Luther King's body was moved to the King Center, and now Coretta's body is there beside his. And Martin Luther King? What can we say about him today, more than 40 years since his death? Has his dream of a fair and equal America come true? There are more Black Americans in important, powerful jobs than ever before. More than 300 American cities are governed by Black leaders. On television, there are many Black reporters and newsreaders. In 2001, Colin Powell became the first African American Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs. In 2005, Condoleezza Rice was chosen for the same job. At a meeting in African American History Month, she talked about what Martin Luther King's ideas meant to her. Black Americans, African Americans, have always believed in America, even in the darkest times. They believed in America when America didn't believe in them. Martin Luther King told America that it should be true to itself. And finally, America did the right thing by African Americans. But only 59% of Black Americans are registered to vote. And the Black vote is important, most of all when America votes for its president. In the presidential election of 2004, when George Bush beat John Kerry, more than 90% of African Americans voted for Kerry. Martin Luther King's dream has not yet come true. Blacks and whites are not yet equal. Look at the young Americans who go to prison, cannot find a job, or die in street violence. For every white person who finds himself in this group, there are 5 blacks. Being Black in America is like wearing shoes that don't fit, an African American writer has said. You can get used to them, but they're not comfortable. That's the way it's always been. It's the way it always will be. The fight for civil rights in America has had many leaders. It has also had other people who worked quietly for that fight. Many of those people were not well known at the time, and nobody remembers them now. But for more than 10 years, Martin Luther King was the voice of those people. He was a great speaker whose words could persuade people. During the bus boycott in Montgomery, one of King's followers said, "Dr. King, you have the words that we're thinking but can't say." And that is why we still remember Martin Luther King today.